Hello, developers, and anyone else interested. This is Devlog0 to Cyclops Clover Studio. I'll currently be talking about how we came to be, the current goals, and current achievements if we have any.
Let's start off with the achievements. So, I finished college for computer programming, and I had a couple of jobs along the way, but currently the job market is too saturated and I do not have a job. So, what I decided to do is go through Udemy, find a simple course, and try working at it. Hitting my head up against the wall, and bam! This is what happened. A simple project that, you can move around, collide with stuff, have something that spins, and if you stay still for too long, you move by yourself because the ghost of past games is haunting you. Uh, that is a bug. But, it is what it is. It's a simple project from the course. What it entails, I'll just go through all the code for you. Okay, to understand this script, we need to understand that each object has an XYZ axes. So X, Y, Z axes, which you can use to move them on or rotate them on, or in other cases, you can just use them to scale. So make something bigger, smaller, or do whatever you want to do. We access these axes in every second of the game, or in our case, every update, we rotate by the y-axis. We can change that by going in the Unity editor and choosing how fast or how slow we want this to spin, thus making it spin and do stuff. The next one that we're going to explain is how we move. We get the axes based on the Unity horizontal and vertical. We multiply it by time delta time so that it moves the same on each machine. And we choose move speed, which we can set dynamically in the Unity editor. This causes our main player to move. That is everything that we need to know about that. Afterwards, we have the object hit, which in our case, what it does is whenever our player, as you can see, if we click on the player, we have the tag player, hits any other object, it gets marked by the tag hit. So anytime that we hit an object that we haven't hit before, then the score goes up like this. We can see the score right here. But if we do hit the same object, it does not increase again. This makes the game score matter more like golf, where we want a lower score rather than a higher score. This next one makes a block fall from the sky after some time has passed. In our case, it's going to be 3 seconds. We enable its mesh and its rigid body right after this time has passed. So essentially, if we start this here, we can notice how this block materializes and falls. That is essentially what we do. And the last piece of the puzzle are those wanky little balls that fly at us at the start of the game. These balls from here. What happens is we set how fast they want to move. At the start of the game, we determine where our player is. So then we decide that we want to move the balls to the player from wherever their starting position is. And whenever they reach the position that the player was in, not the current position of the player, they get destroyed so that they don't clutter this game scene. And that is essentially what this project was. Just a quick introduction to Unity and learning a bunch of new stuff. After finishing the first part of the Udemy course, I decided, hey, I'm from this country and there's a game studio that had a semi-successful game with like 1 or 2 people in it that made a game. Let me just message them on LinkedIn and ask them for resources. And they actually helped. They sent me a link to this resource and a couple of others, but I haven't really gotten to them yet. So I decided, hey, why don't I go through all of this and see what I can do? So I looked through this, which had a tutorial on how to build a clock, which that is what I'm going to do next. Then wham bam jam, a clock had been built, taking in the local time and showing it based off of how many degrees are in like a minute, hour, and second. There are 12 times 30 degrees. In like out of the 360, there are 12 times 30 for the hours and 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. So that is why we have 60 times 6 is 360. That is how we calculate the amount of time and degrees it takes for like the clock to be accurate based on the quaternion. Finally, we have the project that I came up with after doing all those. It gives you a ball that can move around based on rotating the field around it using the Unity physics engine. Yay!
Well, actually, we rotate it based off of just straight up rotation, which makes the field clip into the ball if the ball is not moving. So that is something that I'm going to fix, trying to fix it with adding rigid body and torque to like thing to make it work potentially. I have also made it so that it can only go up and down to certain points because I don't want the whole field to flip upon itself, but you can see how the ball is just stuck in there. You can get it to move if you just kind of wiggle the player, and bam, it is actually like doing its own thing. But that is a problem for future me, and I'm gonna fix it by the next devlog. Moving on to goals, short term, long term, and so on. I'm currently still looking for a job, but until I find one, I'm gonna be working on finishing this project and making it into a small game for a phone where when you tilt your phone, that's how it's going to rotate and make like 10, 20 levels and see how you post stuff to the App Store. That is a short term goal because I believe that I can do that within a month or 2 or 3, depending on how long stuff takes, and figuring out all of that. Um, Longer term goals is learn all of this stuff so that I can potentially make a Steam game. Why am I going for a phone game rather than a Steam game right off the bat? It is because Steam has the $100 fee for posting game there. Plus, it takes a lot longer to build a game that is quality wise good enough for Steam, in my opinion. So let's start small and see where we like take it. And finally, who we are and how we came to be. It is me and my partner. She is not going to be showing her face. Not that I'm showing mine or speaking for the time being, but we are splitting up the work. She's going to be doing all the drawing and art, which she's currently learning how to draw trees and all that other stuff in pixel art form on the graphic tablet, and I'm doing all the coding part. This is the current plan. We have named ourselves Cyclop Game because when you put your head next to another person's head, like forehead wise, you can only see one eye, and you're basically a Cyclop. So, and I like clovers because they're associated with luck, and my general thing is being lucky and a little goblin. So that is why we're Cyclop Clover. That is how we came to be, and that is what we're currently going to be doing. If you want to join us on our journey, then hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.